Fish trigger. Do you pay the 1?
Nah, I passed priority.
Okay,
Bro.
hang on. I'm just gonna draw 1 card. You said it's I'm okay to draw, right? Just off my 1 fish trigger.
You're good, bro. But I pass on everything.
Is this being recorded? Critical EDH, keeping tabs on cEDH. I'm Eric.
I'm Jason.
And we are here to talk about what's going on near us, near you, near wherever there is cEDH going on the internet. We've got Logan over in the producer's chair today, so thanks to him keeping us on track as we help you keep tabs on what's going on. Speaking of, first tab, first sponsor, the Land Go Open. Thank you again to these guys for helping us be aware that there is a huge 10K going on in Nashville. I believe it's in the back half of May, right?
Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee, like May 23rd or something like that till the 25th.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm super excited. It's always great to be a part of events like these. I believe this is going to be a 2-day tournament, very similar to Fishbowl or Heisenberg. On the second day, there's going to be like a redemption event for anyone who's not making top cut. From what I can tell, there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, and I think it's going to turn out pretty good.
Yeah, the logo looks sick for it already.
Dude, they've been awesome to work with, really been collaborative with me and Logan. So thank you to Land Go Open, and thank you guys for being here today. Let's jump into our next tab.
To the comment of the week, shout out to Grant Nallen 330.
Grant, this one's for you.
He said, I like how liberal you are with revealing information from your hand to kind of direct pressure where you want it.
Sylvan Library.
I guess against a Rogsai win attempt, that's not a hard choice. But what you are evaluating and looking at to decide when and what information you reveal from your hand. So any thoughts?
My brick trap. This is a really interesting one. I am always asking myself in games, am I supposed to be giving information here or getting information here? Because I've been in games where people just tell me stuff unprompted without me asking for it. They'll say, before you pass priority, I've got 2 counter spells. So, just so you know that before you make your decision. And I'm like, I don't know if you're supposed to tell me that. But I've been in other situations where people have passed priority, and I've been like, are you sure you don't have anything? And they're like, unless you tell me everything that's in your hand and you agreed not to win for the next 3 turns, I refuse to cast a counter spell here. I don't know. What's that like for you? Like when you're in games, how do you make the decision of like, this is a space where I need to start like collaborating with my opponents. I'm on a 3 side versus this one person who's going for 1 attempt.
I think in that regard, I'm pretty forthcoming in explaining my situation in the game, right? If I have to show them my hand, so be it, right? Like I'll show them all the trash cards in my hand, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm not the threat. There's someone with an active win attempt on the stack. You got it.
I think I was actually in one game with you at an EG tournament, where there was a Kinnan player in seat 1 who just absolutely had the nuts, and you actually laid your hand on the table, and you're like, I'm trying to figure out a way to like stop this Kinnan player. If you think I'm trying to figure out a way to win, like look at these cards. If you see a win, tell me. Otherwise, like you guys need to get some spells on the stack. I remember thinking like, holy cow, he doesn't have anything.
I can't sandbag if I literally don't have anything.
Yeah. And while I definitely think there are some times that you want to like keep your cards a little close to your chest, I think that when someone else is making a win attempt, is a really good time to like let your opponents know like I'm on your side. And sometimes that does require a little convincing, and I think it's totally appropriate that the medium of you communicating trust to them is like, hey, here's my hand. You've seen me draw like 5 or 6 times off a Rhystic study. Here's 8 or 9 cards. None of them say win the game. None of them are counter spells. None of them are tutors. It's just maybe a few rocks and
5 lands.
Yeah. So really appreciate this commenter. I think you're noticing something that we're noticing as well, is that given how like social of a format we're in, there are times where being tight-lipped can really be to your disadvantage. I don't know if you've had this happen, but I've definitely been in games where someone's afterwards been like, man, I had like a mental misstep there, and I just didn't know that demonic consultation was going to get him there.
I every time I'm in a game, I try to explain that this needs to be countered or that doesn't need to be countered, and then we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, oh, guess what, guys? Mental misstep hits Worldly Tutor, but mental misstep doesn't hit Seatborn Muse.
Yeah, this is your time to interact. Go. Well, speaking of things that are supposed to happen, next tab.
We got our critical EDH mats here.
Dude.
You can pick them up at Heisenberg if you just DM us or just show up to our booth.
Dude, heck yeah. We have a box of play mats. Judging based off of how heavy it was when I carried it to SCGcon, I would say between 800 to 900 pounds. My back will never recover. But it was really cool. We were able to hand out some to the locals and the people there. Shout out again to Sabretooth for helping us out with drawing this. Super, super happy to have it. And we are planning on selling them at Heisenberg.
Yeah.
You can find a little bit more information about it later. But really, all you need to know now is that they look sick as fuck.
Yeah, they do.
Really cool. Also, that's one of our critical EDH members. Me, Eric.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying.
No. We can't recognize him because he's got the hat there, but not here.
First time ever seen wearing a hat. Speaking of, playmats aren't the only thing that we're selling. We've got t-shirts too. I have never been stopped by more strangers for purely hedonistic reasons than when I've been wearing this shirt. I feel so hot and attractive and good at magic. I think that if you want to feel that way, if you're watching us and you're like, holy cow, I wish I was stopped by strangers to have them talk about my upper torso, then you should buy this shirt. Got a lot of different colors, a lot of different options.
We got hoodies too. We got hoodies.
We have sweaters. We have it all. You were talking about how you're kind of looking forward to getting a hoodie yourself.
Dude, I want like a white or cream colored hoodie. That'd be sick with the big C on it.
Dude, you're a big hoodie guy. I feel like whenever I imagine you wearing that Adidas hoodie that you have.
Oh yeah, that white one.
Yeah. I think I want to get one of the green mana ones so that when we record these videos, I disappear into the screen.
You're just a floating head.
I'm just a floating head. Something that you can get from us, but that doesn't cost money, is content that we have up on our Patreon. We've still been able to do a good job of everything up there is free. You don't have to pay to get access to anything. But this mental misstep video is a great example of its super long form, not highly edited. And so we are trying to keep the YouTube channel a place for our more structured content, like keeping tabs or gameplay. And then our Patreon as a place where we just upload stuff like this.
Just like raw content, right? Like it's unedited, so you guys can see like the Logan and Eric's raw thoughts on each individual card without things being edited out.
Yeah, because as our trustworthy viewers might know, we are a very highly edited channel. but it is a place that like either we'll test content to see if it works well, or if we're just experimenting with stuff to see if it's our style or if it's a direction that we want to go in. And so if you're just looking for more critical EDH content, head to Patreon, dude. You don't have to pay a single cent.
Yep. And this one will be on Patreon for a little bit longer than normal.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of things that are going to be up a little bit longer than normal, we got cards signed at SCGcon, and we got a logo that's going to be on them forever. It looks so cool.
It does.
I was so grateful at how much the artists were willing to kind of like chat with us and talk to us both about what being an artist was like. But the ones like that were offering special signatures, Logan was talking to them and they're like, hey, you know, we're part of this YouTube channel, and our logo is kind of just to see, would you be willing to just draw one? You kind of do it in your own style or add any touches you want. And, you know, this is a card that we play a lot. And they were all super great to talk to.
Yeah, all the artists were just super chill and laid back.
Dude, they were so nice.
I was just yapping about random stuff with them, and they're like, "Yep, yep,
yeah. I got my Esper Sentinel signed, and I was talking to him like, in the format we play in, this is like a mandatory card. Like, if anyone can run this card, they have to run this card. He's like, oh, that's so cool. I had no idea. But it was really, really, really awesome. I had a great time. We also saw, speaking of getting stuff, signed and drawn on, we saw a Chaos Orb getting altered.
Oh, dude, the Alpha Chaos Orb getting altered on was crazy.
That was nuts. And then the guy opened up his binder and he had like more time twisters,
orbs. I was like, bro, I wish I had this expendable income.
But it was really cool to see. And I think we've got a picture of it up on Twitter or somewhere. It was really fun. Speaking of other pretty crazy stuff that happened at SCGcon, dude, you won.
Yeah, I
took
did.
it down. So it was what, 5 rounds of Swiss, then
5 rounds Swiss, top 16,
top 16, top 4. What was your, obviously you won, but like what was your overall record going into top 4?
3 wins in Swiss.
Okay.
1 draw, 1 loss.
Okay.
I lost to my goat, Tyler, playing Arkham Dagson.
Oh, dude.
In my first round.
It seems like he was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
How was it? I know we're going to be recording a video later talking about kind of like the top 16 breakdown as well as the tournament experience. But if you want to give our viewers a sneak peek, if you had to use 3 words to describe your experience at SCGcon cEDH 5K, what would they be?
Oh. Chill, structured, awesome.
You heard it here first. Well, congrats again on winning, man. That's awesome. Hopefully it gives you some solid momentum going into the tournaments we got coming up.
Hey, this is the first time I've gotten a trophy for an event.
That is so cool. We should have brought it with for the update. Yeah. You can see it here. It's dude, I'm still so happy and proud of you. It's awesome. Like, I know it's like a Denver tournament, but a ton of people traveled, and so the fact that a Denver local was able to take it down, you know, you're repping the geographic location very well.
Go Denver.
Speaking of things that people have been repping, that's a good card. Kyle and Yaw back at it again. This time talking about Aether Vial. It is a super interesting card. It was really surprising for me to see that they were talking about this, because I was thinking about this card all weekend, just because I feel like we're in a super heavy creature combo meta right now.
I used to see this card during the Dockside meta, because on 2 you can cheat in Grand Abolisher and the Dockside.
You could get Dockside, you could get Collector Ooze. It was super duper nice. I feel like I saw it in I saw it in Sisse.
Yeah. Sisse used to run this a lot just to cheat stuff in, because they like to avoid the stack.
Yeah, or like if you drew a card that you like didn't want to play, because like casting a Grand Abolisher is a pretty clear signal that you need to do something, but activating an Aether Vial on 2 maybe isn't quite as suspicious.
Yep.
I don't know. It's really interesting to evaluate. One of the things they were talking about, it's in the title, is asking the question if cEDH is slowing down. Based off your experiences in this kind of post-ban world, now that we've had a few months for things to kind of solidify, would you say that the cEDH meta is speeding up or slowing down?
I definitely think after the bans, everything slowed down by roughly like 1 to 3 turns every game. That's why every game goes to like overtime now. It's just everyone's too reluctant to jam into Rhystic Study. And there's no like Dockside, Crypt, and Lotus were all accelerators within the game, and now we don't have those to accelerate the game into a win on like turn 3 every time, right?
Yeah,
you can't just turn 2 demonic tutor, turn 3 slam a dockside for 10 mana anymore.
Those huge bursts of specifically like it was mana that was any pip you wanted.
Yeah.
And you didn't even need to have dockside itself. You could just have any clone effect. And so even decks that weren't in red were banking around this card being around for combos that they needed to win.
Yeah, and some like Gruul X decks too were just because green gets that ETB tutors, right? You just slam dockside clones, find dockside and find more docksides.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Teamer Sabertooth or a Manglehorn in like forever.
Oh yeah, in like forever now.
They disappeared along with dockside. So in lieu of that, with things taking a little bit extra longer, I think it is interesting that we get to look at cards like this. And it provides more windows with which to kind of like experiment or tech your deck in new ways.
Yeah, with the games going longer, you have more decision points and windows in order to activate Aether vial or do other things with it. So it just it lends itself to just like, oh, you can cheat out a ranger captain on an end step, and if people don't deal with it, it goes to your turn. You just put in a different creature on your turn too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you're not guaranteed a turn 2, this card feels pretty bad. But if you can use this to get like pay 1 mana to get an uncounterable Grand Abolisher on turn 5, that's still like pretty good.
It creates its own like its little own mini game in the game, right? It forces your opponents to actually pay attention and react to it.
Something that always interests me with cards like this is they represent such a wide range of floor to ceiling that it's really, really hard for your opponents to correctly threat assess.
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate how dangerous this Aether vial could be, because like on 2, right, you could be putting in a Collector Oof, a Voice of Victory, a Grand Abolisher, or you could be putting in like a Springheart Nantuko.
Yeah, you're like, oh, here's my Archivist of Ogma.
Got him.
Yeah. But I mean, like you only have to spend 1 mana, so I don't know. I think I've been messing around with Bant a lot, and I think this might be a good card in there.
I think it's solid in the like white eggshells, like green white specifically. Yeah, because they're more like creature focused, so you can, and usually they're playing like the Voice of Victory's Grand Abolishers, so you want to cheat them into play somehow, and this is a good way to do it. Yeah,
though I don't think I would expect this to be in like Blue Farm. I don't think you need it to like get Facebreaker out.
Dude, putting Facebreaker into play? Ooh. Sometimes that's a little hard when you have a tithe.
Well, either way, it was a really good, interesting to watch. Really good episode to watch. Thanks again for these guys for putting out content. Something else they put out was a pretty interesting discussion that took place on Twitter. They're talking about how, and I'm going to try to read this verbatim, cEDH players everywhere are thinking about bans and unbans. But there's only one thing I want from April's Commander update. Add Pact of Negation to the Game Changers list. Parentheses, and promptly ban it the next go around. The card is toxic for all brackets of Commander. What do you think about Pact of Negation?
God, I think sometimes the play patterns that people use it to like force a draw on turn 2 or whatever is just a little toxic, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're jamming on turn 2 like Nas or whatever, and someone has already decided, I want to draw this game.
Yeah.
So they just mull for Pact of Negation or Forcible or whatever, and they're like, I'm not going to counter this if we don't draw right now. And I think that's just like a symptom of the format right now, is that we need to have draws be worth something, because if they aren't, you're more willing to actually just win trade into the person that has the highest seeding in the pod, just so your own win percentage goes up.
Yeah, it's something something I've been guilty of in the past when I was still kind of like learning about the kind of playstyle I wanted to have is, you know, you're in seat 4, a Rock Size kept their first 7 in seat 1, you know, and you're looking at 4 cards, that's 3 lands and a Pact of Negation. And there's a temptation there because it feels like a strategy. The idea that like they're going to go for it super early and I have a Pact of Negation, I can like I can see a world where I'm able to force a draw, and I can get out of this hellhole of a game with 1 point. But the more I play CEDH, the more I've been able to talk to other people who I really respect as opponents and just as players in general, the more I recognize that if like drawing is not a strategy.
It's not. You can't just draw 7 rounds at Heisenberg and get into top 16. You actually just have to win your games. And I think that's also like something I'd like to talk about is that like you don't have to accept the draw on it. You can still play the game out. And I think more people need to push for that, right? We don't have to stop playing the game 10 minutes in because you always still have your window of winning the game. As small as it is, it's still a chance.
Yeah. I have seen the more we get to attend tournaments and the more I just get to watch people play, the more I have seen people take the smallest window that is almost like untenable, unreachable, but then something causes the winds to change in the pod and then they just like claw their way back up to the top. And so I have started to try and play around this card differently, but to the tweet's point, this card does in some ways inspire people to play poorly.
Yeah, it really does.
And so that's where I think it's been, at least as far as I'm aware, communicated somewhat strongly that there won't be any bans in this kind of first round of post bracket kind of addressing stuff. But I can definitely see why the conversation around this specific card is getting started.
I agree. It's like initially it literally has no cost to it, right? It's literally free versus something like Force of Will, Force of Negation, right? You're required to have extra cards in hand. And sometimes when you mull low, you just don't have that luxury.
I do think while in my head I'm like, oh, this card is like a free counter spell, why wouldn't I play it? I'm reminded of a conversation I had with a judge out in Utah, Smalls, and he was talking about how he refuses to like make deals of like, I will do X if you don't win this turn, right? Or I will do Y if you don't win on your next turn. And he's just started refusing those deals because he finds that once he makes that like gear shift, once he transitions to I'm not making a win attempt on my turn, it's impossible to come back from. And so I'm trying to like cement in my mind, like Pact of Negation isn't for getting me a draw, it's for stopping wins. And just not even having that conversation.
No, not even. It's like Pact Negation, right? It should be a card that you use to tell someone else you can't stop my win.
Yeah. I'm all in, digging my feet. Speaking of having that conversation with your opponents, though, distraction makers, notable arch enemy of critical EDH. I'm kidding. They came out with a video recently talking about the Rhystic study problem. I think this is another card that people often often gets thrown around with ban.
Yeah, I think it's super polarizing in our format right now, right? Because every blue deck runs it. You hear it literally every spellcast, right?
Yeah.
Rhystic study trigger. Do you pay the one?
You pay the one. You pay the one.
Despite it being polarizing, I think people just need to learn how to play against it better, right? Like you can treat it as a sphere of resistance.
Yeah, I think that is actually something that they talk about in this episode. Is he jumps into the math of how draws, especially Rhystic study draws, affect the counterspell economy of the table, and how at its best we should be viewing this card. This is one of the arguments that they make as essentially a stacks piece, and that if we treat it as this, you have to pay one extra mana for every spell, a lot of the issues that people have with the card just kind of go away.
Yeah, like you aren't forced into these situations where like you have 80-minute overtimes if you just pay your taxes, right? Because they don't get to draw extra cards to like curve out naturally or anything. They'll start missing land drops.
It's so tempting, though. I think Rhystic study is very similar to Smothering Tithe, where all it takes is one person to not pay and then no one cares anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like the prisoner's dilemma with like Slicer, right?
Yeah.
All three of your opponents or whatever have to figure out a way in prolonging the game as long as possible to find windows to either win the game or stop the Slicer player from killing everyone.
Mm-hmm. And it's especially rough with Rhystic Study because it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Like with Fish, you can set your game plan clock like a turn back, and it doesn't affect you that much. But Rhystic Study, it's gonna always be there unless someone like casts like a Druid of Reclamation or say Reclamation Sage or something. One of those weird green
Druid
cards.
of Purification.
Druid of Purification.
Yeah.
There we go. Green has so many destroy enchantment effects on ETB.
Reverent Silence.
Do you think, let's cast our vision to the future. We've had a couple waves of unbans, and they say, okay, we're ready to start putting stuff back on the list. Do you think Rhystic Study is a part of their conversation?
It most certainly is a card that is polarizing, right? Like I said earlier.
I would super agree with
it
that.
will be discussed, but I think it's like 25-75 that they'll ban it. Right? It's like a commander staple, and people view it as that.
Yeah.
Like, people got really upset when Crypt and Lotus got banned, and we all want those back.
Yeah.
Like the format did not get better with all four of the cards getting banned overnight. It just became hell.
Yeah, it definitely caused like a tide shift that was not fun. It was a really interesting video though. I liked watching it. I would encourage you guys to go watch it as well. I think something they did once again that I was really impressed by was there was just a ton of data. And so I love getting to watch videos where they talk about statistics or likelihood of such and such counter spells or things like that. And so they also talk a little bit about some of the sub archetypes that then generate these dynamics, like aggro or control. And so they just talk about game theory a lot there. And so I find that it's been a lot of fun to talk about. Really enjoyed it.
Next tab. Shout out to MDG Basics. They did a podcast on like the unbans and what previous tournaments they've gone to in the last month. I think Jonah won EG earlier this month.
Heck yeah.
So that was super sick. He was repping the blue farm.
It's such a good deck. Congrats again for him taking down the win. It's crazy. Blue farm took down another tournament. That's wild. Who could have seen it coming?
This deck was... The deck that draws the most cards does the most.
And then they do, I believe, talk a lot about unbans in this as well. I think it's definitely kind of the flavor of the month because I think we're all expecting, I believe.
Yeah, it's like a looming threat. It should be like next week on Monday.
Yeah, a week from what will be yesterday for our viewers.
Yes.
Viewers, it is today for us. But yeah, there definitely is the expectation of a Lumra threat, with Prime Time. I think Prime Time's getting unbanned. I'll be wrong about that. I'll 100% be wrong.
Bro, I want Raphaelos unbanned, even though it's a green card and I can't play it in blue farm. But
dude, Raphaelos is pretty fun. I think if Coalition Victory gets unbanned, one of us here at Critical EDH has to win a tournament game with Coalition Victory.
This is how I'm gonna cheat it. I'm gonna play Kenrith, and then I'll just draw my deck and cast Coalition Victory.
Yeah, it's like basically a Thassa's replacement. IMO.
Guys, but this one's much cooler.
What do you mean it's not my upkeep? Cal, way to write this article. Over at the Herald's Horn, he has written a cEDH set review for Tarkir Dragonstorm for the Commander's Herald. I have really enjoyed getting to consume some of his content. A lot of his podcasts of late have been interviews with, I forget. It was like a story master or a lore master or just all these different people associated and affiliated with Magic. And he himself also plays a ton of different formats and really has his thumb on the pulse of a lot of different aspects of Magic. So it was really cool getting to read this cEDH set review. I do think the picture on front Voice of Victory.
Oh, that card.
Dude, that card is insane.
Blue Farm plays 2 bards. Did you guys know that? Voice of Victory and Mockingbird. 'Cause that thing's a bird bard.
Bird bard. This card is insane. The fact that it only has 1 white pit makes it so easy to cast.
Oh yeah.
Dude, and it's almost a little too castable. I have 2 of the games that I've lost in the last week were because someone cast a Voice of Victory and the person immediately after them just copied it.
Jesus.
Yeah, they've got 5 mana, so they'll cast like Mockingbird for X equals 1, and then they'll just, Thassa's demonic retainer.
Yeah.
It's legitimately a little too easy to cast.
Yeah.
If your opponents are in blue, maybe wait to cast this until you need it.
I treat all my silence as like defense grids. I don't pass with them in play.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Speaking of thinking about the format, Lamora's cards, my segues are getting awful the further we get onto this. I'm so sorry, viewers. This is kind of a series that they've been doing about either decks that beginners should play, or they'll do kind of like state of the format, or over at Lamora's Cards, they always do a really good job of, I think, trying to take this like 5,000 foot look at the format.
They're pretty good at analyzing and breaking down like the minute details of a deck.
Mm-hmm. They both have played a lot of tournaments, and so it was interesting getting to kind of listen to this. Whenever I see Glarb, I don't even play Glarb.
Moistness. His moistness.
I don't even play it that much, but Logan's played so much of it. I'm like, I gotta check this video out. But they talk about like Dahada, they talk about Tivit, they talk about Hasherton and a bunch of other decks. So I thought it was really, really great kind of get to listen to their opinions on how things are going. Especially because there's just so much to cEDH. And while there are kind of these decks that are really, kind of in vogue right now, like I think Rogthras is really up there. Blue Farm is kind of a consistent staple. There's some decks that kind of weave in and out of like the top 3, top 5.
Yeah, and I think that's due to like pilots too, right? Like if some pilots are underperforming when they're known for the deck, and when some pilots are overperforming when they're known for a deck, you can see a deck's usage skyrocket.
Do you think that there's any big decks that, maybe like Nagila or any of these other like previously really popular decks that maybe they haven't been as popular in the last few months, but you think they'll see a little bit of a resurgence here coming up?
I think Rogsai is actually the biggest like indicator we'll see after the bans, because a lot of the main Rogsai pilots just stop playing tournaments in general. So that's why we haven't seen many Rogsais do anything.
Yeah, at least in Denver, it doesn't seem like it's a very popular deck right now.
No, the only Rogsais we see around here is wrong side.
Oh yes, incorrect Silas. That's actually I love how much I hate that deck, because every time I play against it, Logan or whoever's piloting it always has like legitimately,
it's like really parasitic and cancerous to watch.
They always have so many draw engines, so many counter spells. Why is there a Rograk on board and a Commandeer on the stack? What the fuck? How could this happen to me?
Why are they pitching Sink into Stupor?
Dude, it's this is a public service announcement for the community. If you're playing against one of Logan's decks and he says he's not on Necropotence or Adnaz, he's not trying to like hoodwink you. He's never on them. Like his favorite cards to cut from Grixis shells are ones you have to pay life for.
All right, we gotta cut Vamp Tutor next. You lose 2 life for that one.
Get out of here. Mental Misstep eats shit. You know what I'm playing instead of Mental Misstep? Frog Rain.
Frog Rain.
Raining cats and dogs? Nah. It's raining ribbit. You actually put this in the Google Doc for the spicy cards section.
Yeah. I've seen I guess we're talking about more of a resurgence or like explosion of some cards more seen in the format, and something I've seen more and more is Amphibian Downpour.
Oh, dude,
This card feels really gas in these really long and grindy games where it's like 10 Rhystic studies or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I've actually started picking this up for Kinnan, right? Because in the mirror matchup, you completely blow their back out so hard.
It's so crazy, especially because one of the things I like about Amphibian Downpour is it lets you interact in a 3v1 situation. Like you can take out, Kinnan's, Consecrated Sphinx or Thorn Mammoth or whatever, big baddie they have on the board. But you also can take out, Rock Thras's, Springheart and Antuco or something while you're at it in a way that lets you like stop the win and stop like the problem that's right behind it.
It helps you favorably interact with the board because it's not just a 1-for-1. Sometimes it's like a 1-for-10.
Yeah. It also seems like it's slotting in really well to some of the up and coming popular decks like Marnius because it puts a ton of tokens out, or the latest and greatest Kodama Silas. Most of the top pilots I know are playing it. I was playing a game where I had Kodama out, and if I had Kodama out. When I Amphibian Downpoured for 5, I could have put Voice of Victory, Kutzil, and Grand Abolisher out off all the triggers.
That's pretty decent.
pretty decent. I think this maybe isn't as solid in 4 color piles or Wooburg piles, but I think if you're in like Simic or Dimir or even some
like
3 piles,
piles to feel good with this.
Dude, this is something you should think about, especially because so many of people's flash enablers are stapled to either Value Flood Caller or High Fate Trickster.
Yeah.
And so when everyone is sandbagging, trying to wait until the last possible moment, a lot of people will get that Flood Caller out early and hope you forget about it. And cards like Amphibian Downpour, I think, help you pay more attention to where some of the real problems are on the board while giving you a solution for it. What other spicy cards we got? Spice, Will of
the Jeskai.
Wheel of the Jeskai.
It's part of like this new will cycle, right? Like
Dude,
old Jeska's will and
so
stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, it is super cool that they're redoing this cycle again. But this one reads, choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both instead. Each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards. And then the second one is each instant and sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. This flashback is equal to its mana cost.
Dude, that's crazy. You're paying 4 mana for a little baby Wheel of Fortune and like a Yogg's Moss Will.
Dude, this seems sweet with Jessica's will, right? You just J will and then you other will discard and then recast the J will with the red mana.
Yeah, all your opponents are like, he literally has 2 cards in hand. What's he gonna do with 17 red? You're like, you're never gonna guess. This seems like a card that really, really lets you hide the potential explosiveness of your deck from your opponents. And the fact that you get to put a ton of cards in graveyard at the same time that you're activating the ability to cast cards from graveyard, it seems like this has just so much functionality.
Yeah, and it's like the problem right now is like everyone has 20 cards with Rhystic Study, right? We can just wheel them away, and if people start interacting with this, what are you doing?
Yeah, like I don't know if Blue Farm would play this per se, but it lets you put your opponents down on card advantage while giving you access to a lot of your counter spells, assuming that you've thrown like 2 or 3 around.
Yeah, it gives you access to like, it's basically Yogville until end of turn.
Yeah, which is like really good.
Yeah. Whoa, I've got a demonic tutor in here. Crazy.
Which decks do you think are gonna want this? Of like if we go to
Rogsai.
No, really?
Really? Oh, Krark.
This would be pretty gnarly in Krark, actually. Especially because if you have a flash enabler and the copy on the top resolves, you're able to recast it using its secondary modal ability while the first is still on the stack. So even if it resolves, you can still keep casting it infinitely. Oh, dude, this is a really, really cool cycle. I'm really glad. I think
I'm excited for this.
I think Tarkir is going to be pretty similar to Bloom Burrow, where it has a lot of cards out the gate that are just super strong. But I think we're going to see cards like this that
pick up play
5 or 6 months
later
from now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to be super popular. Oh man. Speaking of super popular, the Heisenberg.
Yeah, this weekend the Heisenberg 418 to
Coming
419 to 420.
Whoa! 200 of the most popular people you know are going to be there competing for the top 16. I am so excited for this. Freedom Waffle has done a great job of repping it.
Yeah, he's been putting in the hours for it.
It's Tavern of Souls is a great group of guys and gals. They are a really awesome organization. They've got a travel guide. I think this is going to be a home run of an event.
Hey, we're on the travel guide.
What? Me? You? Logan?
You know what's funny is we see Eric right here.
That's
we
me.
see Logan over there, and I'm literally in the background over there.
Yeah. Maybe when you're wearing a critical EDH hoodie, we'll have you turn the other way around.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting the meta to look like at Heisenberg? Are you making any additions or cuts in preparation?
Nope. I'm solid. I don't need to think anymore.
Don't mess with perfection. Just autopilot your way to the top.
But all seriousness, I think Blue Farm's gonna see even higher uptick at this event.
I'm expecting to see Blue Farm in a big way, and I am making sure that my decks have ways of playing through silences.
Yep.
Whether that's prioritizing like Beseju or Otawara, or maybe like doing a double take at like Touch the Spirit Realm.
Talon Gates.
Talon Gates is so good. It's so good. I think it's just important for a deck to be able to do right now. You both need to be able to play at flash speed, but also you need to have things to do when there's cards on boards that say you can't play anything at all.
Rockthrash is pretty good at doing that.
Rockthrash is really good at doing that.
Oh, you got a Born on this stack? I'm going to flare that.
Flare of Duplication. Oh, dude. That deck is super duper cool. Do you think we're going to see a bunch of Rockthrash?
Oh, for sure. Well, I think we're in like the Teamer spring right now.
Dude, it is a good time to be a Teamer deck. I think Heisenberg is going to be a good...
I think it'll be a good it'll be a good last run before the bans for the unbans.
It's on one hand, I think that like the Heisenberg is going to kind of set the pace because I think this is what we're going to see if board wipes make their way back into a lot of decks. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, you're right. Like immediately after, we're going to get Fast Bond back.
Prime time too, right?
Prime time, baby.
Let's get Black Lotus in here,
dude. Just give me 1 or 2 Moxes.
Oh my.
I think Blue Form's going to be really big. I think Rockthrash is going to be really good. Kinnan for sure. Not Teamer. Grixis Pirates doesn't seem as popular as it was at Fishbowl. I don't think I'm going to see as many Hashatons there as we saw at Fishbowl.
Nope. I expect to see more Tivits than Hashatons.
I expect to see a lot of Tivits. So make sure you're putting your clones in there, your flesh duplicates, your friction metamorphs. That way
Mockingbird for X's5.
You too can vote twice. And there's only one last tab. Enchanted Grounds, Littleton, monthly, cEDH, April 2025.
April 26th. Come join us at Enchanted Grounds.
Heck yeah.
Starts at 11?
Mm-hmm.
11 a.m.?
Are we doing the... the time thing that we did last time with like the 20? Yes.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing the 20-minute overtime cap. I think this is a great idea, honestly. It forces players to be a little bit more proactive rather than setting mana up and literally waiting until the last second until we put 3 more hours on the clock.
and as someone who I just talk all the time in games, I think this is a really great way to exert kind of soft influence. And it before the game even starts, everyone knows we're here to play cEDH, but we're not here to play it forever.
Yep.
I really enjoyed last time. I feel like it kept things moving along.
Yeah, it really helped hearing, shout out to Jay, by the way, hearing Jay say every 20 minutes, there are X amount of minutes left on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it feels like the clock is invisible until someone who has been purposely waiting until 5 minutes goes, "Oh, can we please take some game actions?"
It kind of is like a doomsday clock, you know. Yeah. There are 5 minutes left until the Earth blows up.
No, I gotta pick my 5 cards up. I am interested in seeing if there are downsides, because I think we've definitely been able to feel some of the positives. One of which was that there were just always games going on. There weren't these huge periods where people are just waiting for 80 plus minutes. Definitely not talking about SCGcon. It could be any huge event with any huge amount of 30-minute judge calls. But we are interested in kind of testing out more tournament organizer stuff, and then hopefully it continues to go well for us.
Yeah, and if you come, first place prizing is a Mox Diamond.
Mox Diamond.
Come on, guys. If you guys can't go to SCGcon because you don't own a Mox Diamond, hey, just win it right here.
Absolutely.
Right here at Enchanted Grounds.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and if you win Heisenberg and then come to this one, you probably don't need it. You need to give it to me. I got you.
Yeah, I got you too, bro.
Yeah, we'll tear it in half. You get the top half, I'll get the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us while we kept an eye on the tabs in cEDH.
Bye, guys.
Bye.